Hi and welcome to RCKicks. On today's show, well, have you ever thought about buying a used RC? Yeah, mint condition, never driven it, shelf queen, totally. Also comes with a working LiPo battery that's been used but in good order. Few marks on it, but it's never been driven. Well, in this video, I'm going to cover a whole range of things that are going to help you to make sure you purchase the right thing for the right price. A few tips that I found over all the years of me buying secondhand and used cars that could come in handy to make sure that you don't pay too much for a secondhand or used RC. So the first thing you got to ask yourself is, where do you actually get this stuff from? Well, it's pretty obvious really. You can look at your local RC shop, be that online or actually physically go to the shop and see what they've got on sale. And the reason for that is they'll buy in what they think they're going to sell of a certain product that's come out, and they might buy 10 of something and then they sell 8 and then 2 sit on the shelf. Sooner or later that is just sitting on the shelf and no one's paying any attention to it. That's money sitting there burning that they need to shift. So what they might do is take some of that margin out and try and sell it at a little bit less to try and entice someone to buy it from them. Now this can go all the way down to them making no profit on it at all, but they've just decided they want to get it out the door so they can spend the money on something else that hopefully is going to make them more profit. Now another little tip for you that could end up saving you quite a bit of money, and that is follow your local RC shop or whoever you buy from online on Facebook. If they have a Facebook page or even an Instagram page, it's sometimes worth following them because they do put out announcements that they're going to sell off something, just one unit or whatever, and you could snag it as a bit of a bargain. Just to prove that point, recently Model Sport put out that they were selling the Tamiya XVO2 Pros for like £199, so you could get a car like that, which is an amazing chassis, for less than half price. So it's definitely worth doing, as it costs you absolutely nothing. The other way is the box gets damaged in transit or while it's sitting on the shelf there, or something happens to it to make it look a little bit more tatty, and that obviously they can't really sell on at full price as the box is damaged. Now obviously this depends. If you're a box collector, that's going to be something you're not interested in, but if you're going to build it and run it, or you collect shelf queens and you're going to build it, having a slightly tatty box is not really going to bother you in the least. So these are ways that you can actually get a bit of discount off of a brand new kit. But there obviously is other ways you can do it. And classic one is eBay. But the problem is, how do you know what to pay for it? Are you paying too much? Are you paying too little? Are you getting a real bargain then? So there is a few checks that you can do that are going to give you a load more information to work out exactly how much you should pay for it in your country at that point. So let's go over the steps that I use. So obviously the first step is you need to know what you can buy at retail. So go online, look at your local stores, and you'll find what it costs to buy just by clicking it and buy it now. Now I've gone and done the exact same thing just to give you a flow to what I'm saying, and I picked a Slash 4x4 RTR VXL 2-3S. Why? Well, that's kind of a mainstream car that's still available today, and there's going to be lots of them on eBay, and it's a very simple car that you can just get, take out and run. So there's lots of data of what they're sold for and things like that. So that's a general kind of just to show you what you can find. So I went online and I found one for £405. So that's my top price, £405 today. Then jump onto eBay, select your country, select sold listings, put in exactly the same car, and then look at what's sold. Then look for the best one you can find, and then look at a few other middle of the road ones. Then I went and looked at some more ropier ones that have done a few miles, and I could get them for about £229. So I know that there's my difference between brand new and a well used, but still functioning and running, no faults or anything like that. So it's just, what's that? 229 versus 405. So a reasonable saving. But you've got to be careful. You've got to go and look at it and say, what happens if I need to buy new tires for it, or if I need to buy a new body for it? So then go and do some research and get some prices for those as well. And that's exactly what I did for the Slash. So if I wanted to put a set of tires on it, as it's well used tires, well, they're £27.50 a set, so that's £50 odd for a set of new rims and tyres. Granted, you could look on eBay to try and find some brand new second-hand ones that might save you a few pounds. You could do that, depending on your budget. Also, a new body. Putting a new body on it, it's going to cost you £56.95, so yeah, quite expensive. So you could spend that £100 just putting tyres and a new body on it. So once you know what your prices are for a brand new one, for a very light runner, still very good condition, and a normal run-of-the-mill one is, you've kind of got your range to work with. Then go and have a look at what's currently for sale right now, and then you can judge it against what's sold. I found one that's currently on auction, and it's for £97.09 today with another 5 days to go, which doesn't really tell you anything because the price could go anywhere. You don't honestly know. But I now know that a kind of well-used one is £229 and this one's at 97, so I know where my margin is. I know that I need to be getting this one for roughly that price, so I know that I'm not going to pay too much and whether I'm going to get it at a reasonable price versus the sold ones. Also take into account things like upgrades, things that are changed. They have value, but they don't tend to add value to the car. So if you can find one that's on auction that has a few upgrades sprinkled into it, you can go and research the value of those upgrades, then halve that value. That's how much it's actually worth in the car. And you might find out people don't tend to pay more or a lot more for lots of upgrades. So you can find one that's going to be way more higher spec for the same money. So that's something else to be mindful of. Another tip for you, look at auctions, don't look at buy it nows. Auctions tend to be on that rough side to end up being cheaper. Also look at what time they finish. If they finish at strange times, that's also a bonus. Another tip for you, when you're buying your RCs, buy it the week before everybody gets paid at the end of the month because people have less money available, so you're less likely to have more people trying to bid on that auction, so you might get yourself a bit of a bargain because of the time. So if it finishes at 10 o'clock on a Monday morning and it's 3 days before people get paid, you might find you get yourself a bit of a bargain for that one. Now, one thing that RC sellers tend to do, which baffles me, is that they don't take into account the condition of what they're trying to sell. They just go and look at a brand new one, discount it a little bit, and then put it on and try and sell it. And you look at some of these cars and they've been absolutely abused and they want top money for them. And then, like I say, if you look at the bodies and tyres, before you know it, you might as well have just bought yourself a new one or a much better condition one. So condition is key when you're bidding on stuff. Another thing is, how do you know how much time a car has been driven? There's a brilliant simple tip that you can ask to see a photograph of that will actually give you a real clue of whether it's done 3 miles or 3,000 miles. Ask for a close-up photograph of the outdrives of the RC. Why? Well, every time a wheel rotates, the actual drive shaft rotates in the outdrive. Now, the more times it rotates, the more wear you get on the outdrive. I do this deliberately for race buggies, and you can see how much wear and tear the outdrives have had. And if they look brand new and there's no wear on the actual shaft side, you know, the cutout, you know it's not too bad. If you start to see a wear pattern on both sides, you know it's done a few miles. So that's a very easy way to, without diving into the diffs and having a real close-up look, ask them to send you a photograph of the outdrives. Now, another tip I'm going to give you is how to negotiate like a pro. What do I mean by that? Well, if you see a buy it now and then there's a make offer price, if you've done all the previous things that I've said to you, you'll know what your ceiling price is. Now you can look at the price that it's up for and then see if it's in range of what you're happy to pay. If it's a little bit more expensive, but you're not happy to do that, what you can do is make an offer. Sounds easy, right? Now, what you want to do when you put your offer in, don't do what so many people do. If it's priced up at $300, don't offer $100, you moron. People do this all the time. And what, you expect people to go, oh yeah, all right then? What you want to do is look at the price they're trying to sell it at, look at what your ceiling is, and see if it's close enough. Then what you can do is you can make an offer on it of what you think is about the right price for the market. What you can do is you can also make an offer that's no more than, say, 20% less than what they're trying to sell it for as your opening bid. Now, your opening bid is classed as an anchor point. What that means is you're negotiating from that point on. So if something's for £300 and you make an offer of £250, that's your starting one. Now you get 3 chances to make an offer. So you put in your 350, which might be a little bit under what your maximum is. They might come back straight away and say no. Now, if they're a good seller, and this is a good one for all sellers, what you do is you don't go back and you just say no. What you do is you work out what your best price is and then counter offer. Because if you say no to someone, they'll just move on. So if you make a counter offer, you are keeping the discussion going, and everything is up for discussion on price. You negotiate. You don't just kill a negotiation. Now, obviously, if someone offers you, like I just said, $200 below, then obviously they're just a moron and you're wasting your time. But if it's a genuine offer that is in the ballpark, make a counter offer. Then that person can look at it and go, yeah, that's not really what I'm happy to pay, and then they'll counter offer again. And then eventually, hopefully, you will meet in the middle and find something that's happy for both people. That's how it should be, and that's how you negotiate. The amount of people that don't, be that they make stupid offers, or sellers who just go, no, that makes no sense either. So there's a tip for you. But know the price you're going to pay, know what the market is, be that you're a seller or if you're a buyer. If you're a seller, go and do some of the things I've said before and look at what the current market is selling for. Don't just go and say, well, I bought it for £400, so I want £380 for it, when you've had it for 3 years and beat the living daylights out of it. Go and find, just like I've said for someone who's looking to buy, go and look and find stuff that is sold in your area recently at the same condition as what you've got. Also, if you're a seller, don't think throwing in a load of old used batteries and some knackered old charger is going to bump your price up. Also, if you're a seller, take some proper photos and spend some time actually cleaning your car. Don't forget as well, if you're selling your car on eBay, take some photos of the underside, because it's actually really important. The more detailed photos that you put across, the more questions that people that are looking to buy a car have answered for them before they contact you. Make sense? Winner. So what do you do if you're after something a little bit more exotic and harder to come by that you just don't really see on eBay that often? Well, the best thing to do, join the Facebook group for the manufacturer or the actual car you're after. Put some feelers out in there saying that you're interested in maybe getting hold of one, what you're after, and people will contact you if they have something to sell. You have to be a bit careful though, because you're putting it out that you're looking to buy something, and you always got to assume that there might be the odd dodgy person that looks at you and goes, maybe I can trick him into sending me some money. So be mindful of it. But you, with a little bit of Googling, talking to people, looking at people's history, you can validate whether someone is actually a genuine person or if they're just fishing around. But just be careful, assume everyone is trying to scam you until they prove otherwise. So that's a good way sometimes to actually make contact with someone who maybe has a selection of that car. And then even if they're not selling them now, you can say to them, hey, just remember me if you decide that you want to sell one, and then maybe in 6 months things change for them and then they want some money, and it's easy for them to go, hey, do you still want that car? And then you're like, oh yeah, sure. And then you come to some kind of deal. There is a whole bunch of cars that I would like to have, but only at the right price. So what I do is I just randomly keep searching, and if I see a car that I think it meets my criteria, I'll make an offer on it and then leave it. Or I'll go, I'm going to bid X amount, that's my lot, and then I'll do that and win it or lose it. That's it. That's just how it works. That way, you don't get caught up in overbidding or overpaying for something. So if I don't win it, well, there you go. But then if I'm constantly looking for maybe 3 or 4 cars all the time, and then I keep making offers, sooner or later, you will find you'll get a really good deal come up and it will get accepted. Because don't forget, someone may be selling stuff and they might have to sell it fast because they need the money for something else. Also, you don't know how much they paid for it. They might have been gifted it. It might have been a present. So you might have a bit more movement on some than others, depending on how soon and how quick they want to sell it. So that's something to be mindful of. But don't go in with stupidly low bids. You've got to be realistic. You can't bid 20% of the price they're asking. You're just wasting your time and everybody else's. And last, the RC gods will bring the car to you eventually. What do I mean by that? It surprises me how many cars will find their way to me if I just let it happen. And then other times there's cars that you go hunting for and you never get it. So I don't tend to go massively hunting, trying to get one car right now and I'll pay anything for it. I just let the universe do its thing and eventually one will find its way to you. Now, obviously, this is something you've got to take with a pinch of salt, but it is true. Eventually, cars that I've really lusted over will come to me at a reasonable price. Now, the car that I'm after the most is a Traxxas UDR. You want a second-hand one, but one in reasonably good condition, and I don't want to pay £100 less than a brand new one. That makes no sense whatsoever. But I'll wait, it will come over time and eventually I'll get one and then I'll add it to the collection and then I'll be super chuffed. But to go out and hunt for one, it's just, yeah, I just find it can be really frustrating. Obviously, you do have your hero cars that you really want to get hold of, but just give it a chance, let the universe know, and eventually they'll come to you. And on that slightly random one at the end, thanks for watching. See you on the next one. Bye-bye.